on this Tuesday, November 4th. I'm Yumna Naufal. These are today's headlines. Saudi Arabia and France finalized a deal to provide the Lebanese army with $3 billion worth of French weapons. Lebanese forces leader Samir Jaja asks his rivals in the Free Patriotic Movement to attend tomorrow's legislative session and vote for a new president. And an international rights group says ISIS militant tortured and abused Kurdish children captured in Kobani. Saudi Arabia and France have inked a deal to provide the Lebanese army with $3 billion worth of French weapons, with Riyadh footing the bill. The deal, first announced last December, comes as the Lebanese army is battling gunmen and jihadists, including from the Islamic State group in the north and along its northeastern border with Syria. Army Commander General Jean Ahwaji attended the signing ceremony at the Royal Palace in Riyadh after an almost 11-month delay. The pan-Arab daily Al Hayat says the Lebanese army will be able to purchase French weapons under the $3 billion deal financed by Riyadh at the beginning of the year. Foreign Minister Jaban Bassi on September 10th urged the international community to present a common Islamic State group, saying his country is impatiently waiting for the French-made weapons. Shias today are holding Ashura processions in Beirut's southern suburbs and several towns in the southern and eastern part of the country, as Hezbollah leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah dismissed Israeli threats as a source of concern. Nasrallah was addressing hundreds of thousands of his supporters gathered in Beirut's southern suburbs following the Ashura march. He reiterated that Hezbollah is fully ready in southern Lebanon despite the presence of the party's fighters in Syria. The Hezbollah Secretary General also stressed that the developments in Syria and the region made the party more confident about its right choices. This year's Ashura was held amid a rising threat by jihadists from Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra Front, and ISIS. Lebanese forces leader Samir Jaja is asking his rivals in the Free Patriotic Movement, led by Michel Aoun, to attend the legislative session and vote for a new president, rather than extending Parliament's mandate, accusing the government of deliberately disrupting the parliamentary election. Describing it as his last-minute initiative to avoid extending Parliament's mandate, Jaja said the FPM should attend the session, given that Hezbollah chief Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah announced a day before that his party's presidential nominee was MP Michel Aoun. There is still a solution, he said, that could avoid the extension. All the lawmakers are attending the session and there will be quorum. He said this during a televised news conference from his residence in Marab. Maronite Patriarch Shara Rai is stressing on the importance of equality between Muslims and Christians in Lebanon, reiterating that the fighters of ISIS are not linked to Islam. Speaking in the Australian capital, Canberra, Rai said Lebanon is a model for coexistence between Muslims and Christians. They both live equally, he says, and he pointed out that Christians should maintain their presence in the region to achieve integration with Muslims. The Patriarch traveled to Australia in the end of October on a 2-week pastoral visit. Regarding the writhing threat of ISIL in the region, Rai admitted that the Middle East is going through difficult stages, differentiating between terrorist organizations and Takfiri groups. An international rights group says ISIS militants have tortured and abused Kurdish children captured earlier this year near the northern Syrian town of Kobani. Human Rights Watch is basing its conclusions on interviews with several children who were among more than 150 Kurdish boys from Kobani abducted in late May as they were returning home after taking school exams in the city of Aleppo. It says around 50 of the Kurds escaped, while the rest were released in batches, the last coming on October 29th. 4 of the children held by the extremists described frequent beatings with a hose and electric cable. Human Rights Watch's Fred Abraham says the evidence of ISIS abuse of children underlines why no one should support their criminal enterprise. And in the United States, a brother and sister were detained at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, along with their 19-year-old brother last month, suspected of intending to join Islamic State militants in Syria, according to a prosecutor who was pushing for the older brother to remain behind bars. The jailed Muhammad Hamza Khan was the only one charged, but prosecutor Richard Hiller said Khan's 16-year-old brother and 17-year-old sister were also passionate about the Islamic State. Authorities announced Khan's October 4th arrest at O'Hare several days after it happened. On Monday, they revealed for the first time that his siblings were detained with him that same day, all three with plane tickets to Istanbul in Turkey, which borders Syria. At the end of the detention hearing in federal court in Chicago, U.S. Magistrate Judge Susan Cox ruled that the government had amply showed that Khan posed a potential threat and a flight risk and therefore should not be released. Coming up next, a British-Iranian woman jailed in Iran after trying to watch a volleyball match is on hunger strike for the second time. Welcome back. You're watching the 4:20 o'clock news on Future TV. Israel's parliament is passing a law that could block the release in any future peace negotiations of Palestinian prisoners convicted of murder. The 120-member Knesset voted late on Monday, 35-15, in favor of the bill, which was initiated by a far-right politician and approved by the cabinet in June. The law gives judges the power to convict murderers under a new category of extraordinarily severe circumstances that will prevent the government from releasing them in any future deals. Israel freed 78 Palestinian prisoners during failed U.S.-backed peace talks between July 2013 and April, including many who had been convicted for murdering Israeli civilians. The Jewish state also released about 1,100 Palestinian prisoners in 2011 in exchange for the freedom of one Israeli soldier held for 5 years by Hamas. Thousands of Iranians are chanting "Down with America" at a major anti-U.S. rally to mark the anniversary of the 1979 takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. The rally in the Iranian capital puts more pressure on moderate President Hassan Rouhani, just a week ahead of a meeting between American and Iranian officials over Tehran's controversial nuclear program. The rally is organized by hardliners, and demonstrators also chanted "Death to Israel" and "Death to Britain." In 1979, militant Iranian students who claimed the U.S. Embassy was the center of plots against the Persian nation held 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. Ties between the two countries were severed after the siege, and formal relations have not been restored since. Still in Iran, a British-Iranian woman jailed after trying to watch a volleyball match is on a hunger strike for the second time. Ronche Ghavami was sentenced to a year in jail after attempting to attend a men's volleyball match between Iran and Italy in Tehran in June. Her lawyers said to Iranian media the 25-year-old law graduate from London is protesting against what she called her illegal detention. Her mother said this to BBC. Women are banned from attending volleyball and football matches in Iran, which officials say protect them from lewd behavior. She was arrested on June 20th outside Tehran's Azadi Stadium, where she was taking part in a demonstration demanding that women be allowed inside to watch the International League match. Ghavami was released soon after, but then rearrested days later when she was called back to reclaim items that had been confiscated when she was first detained. A regional meeting of the World Health Organization continued in the West African nation of Benin, a country that has had not any Ebola cases. But the World Health Organization chief, Margaret Chan, told delegates that she extended her deepest sympathy to the people of West Africa who have suffered because of the virus, and said that Africa needs to lead. However, as in the past, the region had suffered from some very bad development advice.
I extend my deepest sympathy to the people of West Africa who have seen so many of their fellow countrymen fall ill and died. I extend my deepest sympathy to the families, the loved ones, the neighbors, and the entire village and communities. Africa needs to seize this new agenda on its own terms. Frankly, this region has, in the past, suffered from some very bad development advice. Future solutions to Africa's problems must be uniquely African solutions. In the past, Africa has followed in lines with the priorities and strategies defined by global health initiatives, and not always as defined by your own governments and perceived health needs. Now, Africa needs to lead. Ministers of Health at their gathering Among the items on your agenda are, of course, the WHO reform, and we look to you for further guidance and advice how we fast-track our WHO reform to make WHO a relevant, credible, and performing organization.
Remember sweet, innocent Harry Potter? Well, Daniel Radcliffe was on the Jimmy Fallon show promoting his latest movie, Horns, and told the host that he was a big fan of rap, so Jimmy Fallon challenged him. Take a look.
You're a big music fan.
I am a big music fan, yeah.
You're a big rap fan.
I am, which surprises a lot of people about me. But yeah, I am.
What rap do you enjoy?
Well, I think initially I got into Eminem and was obsessed with learning. I think every kid in my class, I think I was the first kid in my class to learn all the words to Real Slim Shady, and I've always had an obsession with. There's also guys like Plan B in England who you should check out. And okay, sweet. But yeah, I've always had kind of an obsession with memorizing complicated, lyrically intricate and fast songs, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a disease.
Black Alicious' alphabet aerobics.
That would be one.
You know how to do that whole song?
Yeah, I do, yes.
That's one of the trickiest, fastest songs I know.
Well, yeah. Can I take my jacket off?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's go.
Okay.
All right, you guys.
Now it's time for our wrap-up. Let's give it everything we've got. Ready? Begin. You begin.
Artificial amateurs aren't at all amazing. Analytically, I assault, animate things. Broken barriers bound in by the bomb beat. Buildings are broken, basically I'm bombarding. Casually create catastrophes, casualties, canceling cats got their canopies collapsing. Detonate a dime a dank, daily do and do. Demonstrations, Don Dada on the down low. Eating other editors with each and every energetic, epileptic episode, elevated etiquette. Furious, fat, fabulous, fantastic. Flurries of funk felt feeding the fanatics. Gift got great, global goods gone glorious. Getting godly in his game with the goriest. Hit him high, hella height, historical. Hey, Holocaust hands, hear him holler at your homeboy. Imitators idolize, I intimidate. In an instant, I'll rise in an irate state. Juiced on my jams like Jerry Curls, ducking joints justly. It's just me writing my journals. Kindly am kindling all kinds of ink on. Karate Kid type Brits in my kingdom. Let me live a long life, lyrically lessons is learn lame louses to glues to my leverage. My mind makes marvelous moves, masses. Marvel and move, many mock what I've mastered. Nap knowing I'm nice naturally. Knack never nap, make noise nationally. Operation opposition off, not optional. Out of sight, out of mind, wide beaming obstacles. Perfected poem, powerful punchlines, pummeling petty powder puffs in my prime. Quite quotes, keep quiet, it's quantum. Quarrels and gaudy quote of what do we gotta. Really raw raps, rising up rapidly, riding the rushing radioactivity. Super scientific, sound sort thought. Silencing, superfly saps out of soft. Tails 10 time talented, too tough. Take that, challengers, get a tune up. Universal, unique, untouched, unadulterated, the raw uncut. Verb vice lords, victorious, valid. Violate vines at a vein, make him vanish. Well, my word with a wise worth myth, just weeded up, words weaving up, I'm a worship. Xerox, max, radiation, old, large, X, height, letters, xylophone tones. Yellowback, yak mouth, young ones, yours. Yesterday's zones, all cells are yawns. Zigzag zombies, zooming to the zenith. Zero and zen thoughts overzealous for I'm zealous.
Come on! Daniel Radcliffe!
Thank you.
Horns is in theaters and on demand and on iTunes this Friday. Daniel Radcliffe!
Impressive, to say the least. And on that note, we'll end our bulletin for today. Let me remind you of our top stories. Saudi Arabia and France finalized a deal to provide the Lebanese army with $3 billion worth of French weapons. Lebanese forces leader Samir Jaja asks his rivals in the Free Patriotic Movement led by Michel Aoun to attend tomorrow's session and vote for a new president. And an international rights group says ISIS militants tortured and abused Kurdish children captured in Kobani. Your Tuesday headlines live here on Future Television. From me and the team, have a good night.